I had done so much like sober social hacking approaching. The funny thing is when I approach a girl, I get the same sort of high as when I do like Molly or other sorts of drugs.
I'm sure it's like a dopamine kit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And like if I go out and, even not so long ago, like I had clients here for an immersion and I'm, teaching them how to like walk up to a girl on the sidewalk and we're all, and they're like, hey, Robbie, can you demo one? I'm like, okay, sure.
You get the hit from that?
Yeah, oh, yeah. Like, and if you do 3 or 4, it's the same feeling that I've just like done an ecstasy pill.
Wow. That's really cool. I've never realized that.
Yeah.
I have such a different experience in those immersions. I'm nervous.
Right.
And I get exhausted.
Yeah.
God, because I'm doing it over and over and over and over.
Right.
Anyways.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think it'd be different if you were like walking up to random strangers on the street. And
that's
being
right.
The one approaching. You're the one being approached. So that's
actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I got such a hit from that.
Really?
Oh yeah. Just like being assertive or
it's like anything,
confident.
It's that feeling after you take a big risk and you don't die. Right? You get a hit like adrenaline rush, right? Like you jump out of an airplane or you do something that's like maybe like you give a speech in front of, public speaking, for example. Like when you're up there and you get into that flow state, you start to feel all those feelings, which is probably just the chemicals being dumped into your system, same as, taking a pill, I guess. But I know a lot of guys who have like drugged themselves to be able to approach women. Right. And that's what I first started.
Interesting.
When I was like, 21, 22, 23, like I'd get really wasted. I go to the bar with my friends. We'd all get like plastered drunk. And eventually one of us would like build up the courage to go and like hit on a girl. Right. And then I can't even talk. I'm so wasted. I'm slurring my words. And she's like, no, thanks. So that was like living in Pacific Beach, going to UCSD. That was 5 nights a week. We'd all just get totally shit faced. We'd drink a 36 pack of Natty Ice between like 3 guys and go and do that. But so I went through the school of hard knocks before, with alcohol and then realized I learned my tolerance. But then later when I introduced the other substances, I was already to a point where I felt like my social skills were really good. My game was good.
Probably worked out in your favor.
Well, what I found
polished
was like,
the skills first.
Because when I did do the other stuff, it was like fucking rocket fuel. It was like, I mean, every single night when I would take ecstasy, like I even like kept track. Like I would pull a girl.
You were like logging it like it was your fitness app.
I was, yeah. I mean,
so you could see the trends.
It was like every time I did it, I would hook up, and
that just goes to show you like the confidence that you put, that it changes everything.
Well, it was for me, it was like when I was high on that stuff, and it didn't matter if it was the combination of like alcohol and a little bit of Coke or Molly or K and Calvin Klein. I just didn't give a fuck. Like, but I was still calibrated enough where I wasn't like off-putting or, too aggressive.
Because that's critical too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so like I knew
creepy factor.
Right. So I was assertive enough where, I would make stuff happen. But I wasn't crossing that threshold, which is what I see with guys who haven't put in the work. Like if they just try to do the drugs, they either get way too lovey-dovey if they're on like,
that's exactly right.
Or they're just like coked out assholes and they're just too aggressive and gross and like over the top. I mean,
wait, what I want to know, have you done like what hallucinogens or psychedelics have you done?
So for a long time, I couldn't do any, even though they say MDMA has hallucinogenic properties.
Yeah, but that's like, come on.
For the longest time, I even smoking weed would give me instant paranoia, anxiety.
Yeah, me too.
It ruined my social. Like I a couple times I smoked weed on dates because the girl I was out with wanted to smoke.
Oh my
and like,
God.
I
no,
same.
The hell like, out of myself. Like don't. But also like I wasn't cock walking myself per se, just because like as a woman, it's like I was like, get that thing away from me.
Yeah.
The idea. Can you imagine being that paranoid and then being like penetrated? It's like such a different ballgame. Right. It's like I have to go home.
Oh, well, yeah.
no way.
I was like, just, I would think about my thoughts and I just felt like the weirdest, creepiest, like awkward fuck whenever
everything you say, you're like, was that normal? Are they noticing that I'm not normal? Like,
exactly.
Ugh.
So I just stayed away from all that. And I remember the first time I ever dropped acid, it was like the first or second day of Burning Man. And I just could not hold like a linear thought process. Oh. And it was just like, wait, did I just change the gray water in the RV? Oh, I forgot. Did I leave the thing in the fridge? What about this? What
That's
that?
stressful.
Like, it was terrible. But I slowly, over the course of maybe like 5 or 6 different times and dosing myself differently, I started to become more accustomed to it and I started to actually enjoy it. Mm-hmm. And then when I mix it, I remember mixing like mushrooms with some, I think I, did a pill of ecstasy, and it was like an amazing experience.
Yeah.
And then I kind of found the right chemistry needed to where I would never do hallucinogens if I was in a situation where like I wanted to be really on top of my like social game.
For sure.
But I got to the point where I could at least do them around my friends and have fun and like gain from all of the introspective lessons from them.
Yeah, I think like you don't want to be on hallucinogens and like discombobulated when someone's trying to like get to know you and they're not on hallucinogens. Right. And like, yeah, because it's like it's already hard enough for me to be perceived in the first place, but then like throw in that added layer, like no way. But for healing purposes, so meaning like doing hallucinogens to heal your anxiety disorder to ultimately be better on dates when you're not on hallucinogens, right. I'm a big fan.
Because you went through a big journey with that stuff, right?
Yes.
Well, for me, I noticed, and I want to ask you about that in a second, but what I noticed for me was that process of doing a bunch of MDMA. I don't think it was really from the coke, or I think from the ketamine and the MDMA, right? I think I gained like 4 or 5 years of therapy from.
Yes.
I became so much more open, so much more comfortable with like who I was, sharing my emotions, being present with people, and it's not a wonder why a lot of those drugs now are becoming legalized. They're being used clinically, like to treat depression, to like help people with their anxiety disorders. Like I did it all, self-medicated, you could say. But I mean, I can't discount the fact that was a really powerful experience over, a long enough time. And I was always relatively safe about it. I never got into any sort of trouble. I never got, no issues with the law or anything like that. Which is critical. Exactly.
Yeah.
Never in any situation where I got like alcohol is the worst drug out there. Like the amount of times I almost got in trouble was always when I was too drunk. It was never when I was like high on these other substances.
But also just like in terms of for you, like it's the worst for you. It I think encourages the worst behavior, but also just like your microbiome and stuff. It just like fucks with everything. You're more likely to have stomach cancer and
the
like
hangovers,
heart issues, hangover. Yeah.
I just listened to what's his name? The guy who recently he's got the big podcast.
Huberman.
Yeah. So I listened to he did like a 2.5 hour podcast on what alcohol actually does for you or does to you. And I stopped drinking after that.
Yeah, it's so scary.
Maria doesn't drink. I haven't had a drink in two months.